Hey everyone, welcome to the Miser's Guide to Strife. In this video, we're going to look at creating accounts and how to get started, the very basics of what you need to do. So when you're creating an account, you're going to go over to login or register. And for now, there's no Google Play integration or Facebook. I had to remove those for now. But what you'll do is you'll create an email address and a password that is unique to you. There's no verification check, so you can really put absolutely anything you want. I'm going to put a fake one here, but you do want to remember the information so that you can log in when there's updates. All right. Once you have created the account, then you're going to go in and you're going to select your race. You're going to select your continent. So all the race choices are here. You have dwarf, elf, gnome, human, orc, or troll, and the last one here, undead. It tells you some information about the economic side. So like undead, wood per mill 6, iron per mine 5, food per farm 100, compared to some other ones that have slightly better resource production. But there's also differences when it comes to units that they have, and there's a little more information than this brief text here on the wiki if you want to check that out. After you select a race, I'm going to go with gnome. You're going to choose a continent, and any race can be on any continent, but it will place you with players that are on that continent. So there's Alderd, and it has a military effect and an economic effect. Each one of them do. And you just go through and you can select the one that you feel suits your race or that you'd want to play on. I'm going to choose Tuth. Lastly, you are going to make a leader name and a kingdom name. So I'm going to write test just because, you know, this is a video here and it has a summary of all the information that I went with. I went with a gnome and I put it in Tuth, and I'm going to create the account. Okay, now that the account is created, you'll be able to enter the game. When you enter the game, you're loaded into this. I'm going to call it the castle screen because it has a castle, obviously. And you'll notice that here it says you are protected from attacks until whatever the date and time say. So every player is given beginner protection at the very start, so you cannot be attacked. You could make attacks, but if you do make attacks, it will break that protection. So this protection time is a period of time where you're going to be building up your kingdom, you're going to be getting more land, you're going to be building, preparing yourself for when that protection ends. A little pop-up here says that a castle is ready to be produced, so I can click that, and I can build a castle, and those take a pretty significant period of time. I think it's about 36 hours or so. Can't remember what I put it, 48 hours. Okay, and you'll see a little dialogue text here that comes up that tells you that a castle is building. It's not going to come until I probably come back to the screen. All right, let's look around at what you see here. There's some information at the top that tells you your resources, your castle's land, your population. There's some tabs right here that you can scroll through that tell you some details about either your production. This is an hourly rate, so this is how much gold I'm making per hour. Wood, iron, food. Upkeep is based on your military, so your military requires food and gold to be sustained. And this net production 24 hours takes your 24-hour hourly rate minus the upkeep, and that's what these numbers are. Your military has some information that is not usable just yet because you're not attacking in protection. But returning from battle, so if you send armies out at other people, they take time to return. And there's a concept of retaliation rights, which I'll get to in a future video. That's a feature within the attacking system that is pretty dynamic, and it allows for a lot of strategic play between different players. The magic tab tells you active spells. So there are 2 active spells that you can have to protect your kingdom. There's Wall of Fire and Dense Fog. We'll get into those in future videos. And your wizard status, these are some circular bars that tell you how many available wizards there are and how many resting wizards there are. All right, going to technology, it gives a summary of your kingdom's technology levels. Right now, everything is rank 0 because nothing has been done. And let's move on to the other stuff. So the main focus of this page is obviously the buildings. There's a lot of buildings right now, but they're all darkened. They're not very well lit up, and that's purposeful. So when something happens in your kingdom, when something's ready, like you craft weapons or a technology is ready, what will happen is these will start to glow, and you're going to click on them to collect whatever is finished. So if some weapons are done crafting, then the forge will light up. You'll click on that, and your weapons will be finished crafting. Same thing with this big castle in the middle. When there are some resources ready for collection, this is going to light up. You're going to click it, and it's going to do a couple things. It's going to collect resources. It's going to have a chance to explore for land, and you'll have some population gain. And if you have your pasture that you're trying to get some wild animals, then they'll be collected there as well. The maximum that you can do is every 5 minutes, but it really doesn't make a difference whether you click in 5 minutes or in 5 hours or 24 hours. I think it caps at 24 hours because it's based on the time since your last collection. So you could click it now and then click it in 10 hours again, and the amount of resources and so on that you get is going to be based off of that time since the last click. There's a few other buttons here. There's self magic. So if you have wizards, you can click here and you can cast yourself some self magic spells. If you are growing in protection, one of the more beneficial spells that I can tell you is Farseeing. Farseeing has a chance to get extra land. It's kind of like the randomness of collecting land as your explorers set out, except magically. So if you use your magic here to cast Farseeing, you're going to have a chance to get some land, and that's a really good way to start off. You can get some land very quickly with that. There's utility spells as well. I've already kind of talked about Wall of Fire and Dense Fog. Those are protective spells. There's Arcane Gateway, which allows you to get some troops that are out that have been marching against an enemy, gets them back instantly if you use that. So self magic is available there. There's also offensive magic, but you'll have to go to the navigation screen, find an enemy, and cast directly on them. There's defensive strategies. So there's standard, ambush, and entrench. And whichever one you have selected, you can just switch to another one if you want. More details about what these strategies do are on the wiki. This little button here is for reports. So if you are attacked, this will light up and it'll tell you who attacked you, what happened. But if you want more details on those battles, you'd be able to go to the battle logs here and it'll have more details specific to those battles, and you'll be able to go through all the phases and kind of see what happened. Some other buttons in this extra menu here, you got the world navigation that allows you to explore and find other kingdoms. You have the rankings board, so I'll just go there. And you'll be able to see who's playing, where they're at right now. So right now there are 19 players, and they're at various levels in terms of strength. Okay, let's go back. There's a Strife marketplace, which is very useful. So instead of allowing for trade between kingdoms, which can be abused by people having multiple accounts, what I did is I created a marketplace that allows you to trade with the game server. So if you go there and you have an excess of wood or iron, or you want to buy something, you can either sell or buy. The rates will change depending on the use of it on the server. So if some other player sells a whole bunch of wood, then these numbers are going to change. And the prices that will change based on player interactions, not just yourself, but everybody. Okay, there is the Essence Store and Strife purchases. So essences are kind of a currency in the game that allows you to get speed ups that can either give you some resource production, can reduce the time on different elements in the game, or it can even be used to explore for extra land or get some extra population. You can get essence by watching video ads. There'll be a pop-up every 2 hours here that allows you to watch a video ad that gives you 10 essence. So that's a free-to-play way to get some essence to spend. You can also use Strife purchases, and that allows you to buy essences directly. But what I did to make it so that the heavy spenders can't overpower other players in the game is there's a limitation on purchase. So you cannot purchase any one of these more than once per day. You could also buy the 30-day skip ads. That makes it so that when the video ads come up, you just click it and it skips the video ad completely and just gives you the reward for 30 days. There's a test card on right now because this is internal testing. I don't want people to spend money on this. So what you can do is you can just go to purchase and it will load a Google Play test card and you can just buy and it will reward you with whatever you purchased. But what happens if you try to click again is it'll say it's out of stock and it'll tell you the next time that you're able to purchase. Okay, now going back, what else? There's a chat on here. There's a world chat that everyone can communicate. Chat is something that I want to improve on, but there's higher priorities right now. It is very functional, but sometimes it'll skip around. And if you find that it like reverses direction or something, going to another tab and then coming back will fix it. But it is something that I'm going to work on in the future. There's a world chat. There's a continent chat for your whatever continent you're on, and your team, the province. There's going to be a chat here as well. Looks like my castle just lit up, so I'll click that so you can kind of see what happens with resource collection. So I have collected some gold, wood, iron, food. And that's based off of the production rates that I have that are affected by my buildings. So with that, let's go to buildings. I'm going to go over to buildings here, and we're going to construct a few buildings. So if you are looking at all of these buildings, it's a pretty cluttered screen right now. It's another thing that I'm going to be working on cleaning up how this all looks. It's more functional right now than it is pretty. But if you do click on any one of these buildings, you'll get a pop-up with some information like, let's click mill. Mills, each mill that you have produces 6 wood per hour for your kingdom, and these are the costs for mills. So I definitely want a lot of wood and iron production, especially early, so that you can build buildings and build up your kingdom. So I'm going to build a few of each, and I'll click update here. And my builders have started on new construction projects. Down here, this little log will tell you when things are expected to be completed. Each building has a different time that it takes. Some buildings take longer than others. Farms, houses, mills, mines tend to be fairly quick, but other buildings like the higher quality ones like medical centers, I'll put one on. You'll see that the time is a little different. I can't actually put it on because I ran out of space. I'm going to go and demolish a building and just to demonstrate that. So if you don't like these sliders, which I don't like them very much, you can actually just type by clicking the number right above and it'll open a text box and you can put the numbers in directly. I prefer that unless I'm just trying to do some quick modifications. So I'm going to demolish one house here. It'll refund a little bit of wood and I'll go back to build mode and I'm going to build one medical center. Okay, just to show you that there is a difference in time that these things take. All right, so it does take quite a bit more time for a medical center. Now let's go to the next tab. We have pasture. So the way that pasture works is you're going to want to invest some money hourly into your pasture that allows for wild animals to be attracted to your lands. And when you do have some wild animals, in this case I have 0, spotted mongooses are specific to gnomes. When I do have them, I'll be able to click tame. You can click tame once per 3 hours. It'll tame as many as it can based on the number of stables you have. When that's done, one of these will light up. I'll click it and they'll be tamed. And then after something is tamed, it can be trained. After the training is complete, after, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, or it says 2 hours, then this one will light up and that becomes a weapon that's going to be used for training mounted units in my military. I won't be able to do that just yet because I don't have any, but that does kind of tell you what is happening there. Academy tells you all the researches that are available. So there are kingdom, production, military, and magic resources. I highly recommend if you're just starting out that you get field glass. I'm going to put that on research. And what that does is it increases the chance that your explorers will discover land. And since land is the most important resource in this game because it allows you to build buildings, which in effect changes everything else in the game, you're going to want as much as possible. So put that on, definitely, and then further ranks will be more costly and will take more time. So then after you get 1 or 2 levels of field glass, you might want to branch out to some other areas. Over here, Armory is where you're able to craft weapons for your military. It's something that is required to actually train your military other than just gold. So you will need to craft weapons as you go. And as you use these sliders here, or again, click and update, it will tell you how much wood is required and how much iron is required. The wood and iron that you receive as a beginner is quite a lot, but you definitely want to make sure that you're building up your building economy by making mills and mines so that that amount doesn't run out too quickly and you have a steady flow of resources. It might be enough right now to go ahead and just make a whole load of weapons, but if you don't have those resources to build buildings, then you're going to kind of stall out and you won't be able to grow quite as effectively. So I wouldn't worry about weapons just yet. Wait until there's only like 2 days of protection left, or maybe 3 days, and then start doing your weapons so that you can train some military. The weapon speed isn't so bad on its own with very few forges. I'll just give you an example here. Let me make just a couple here, planks and mails. I'm going to update, and the weapons take only 9 hours. But if you do get some forges built based on the number of forges you have compared to your total land, it will increase the speed. But 9 hours isn't so bad for crafting, so I wouldn't recommend going and building a whole bunch of forges just yet. When you have some weapons crafted near the end of your protection, you're going to want to start to work on your military, because you'll be coming out of protection, you may get attacked, or you may want to attack other players. Your housing is based on a building called guardhouses. So the more guardhouses you have, the more units you'll be able to train. I have some units right now that can be trained due to having some starting buildings, and I do have some starting weapons, so I could put these on. I'm going to delete this account after, but it does show you without very many buildings, it's going to be a very long time. It's going to be 9 hours to train light units and 12 hours to train heavy units. Let me check the buildings here. So my starting buildings, the ones that affect the train time for units, are training camps and warfare arenas. So right now I have 10 of each and a total of 20 land. So that's 0.5 per land, which is a decent speed. If I didn't have these buildings, it would take significantly longer. So I'm going to actually go ahead and destroy all these buildings just to kind of show you how long it takes and how important it is to choose your buildings well. I'm going to go put a few more units on. Go back to military here. So I'll put a couple light units and I'll put some heavy units here. And let's compare the time difference. So the first one took 9 hours, 12 hours, but without any buildings, we have 18 hours and 24 hours. It's still not too bad, but if you're trying to train in a hurry to defend against people, you definitely want some of those buildings. All right, let's move on to some navigation. This building over here is the Wizard Tower. It's lit up, and when you click it, it will tell you something like, okay, it's trained one wizard. One wizard isn't a whole lot to do very much, but keep an eye on these buildings because when they glow up, there's something important. This is the video ad. I'm not going to click it because I should not be clicking my own ads in the game. Let's go to navigation. So world navigation, you start off, I think I chose Tuth, and I don't think there's any other players in this place. So, oh, there actually are. So there's 2 other players in here. So here's the account I just made. It's a test, and there are 2 other players here. I could click on them, and I could attack or cast well, I can't attack my own province, but I can cast magic on them. If I go to another place, let's say I go to card fee 1, there are 4 players in here. So if I wanted to attack a player, that guy's in protection. Let me check these guys. Okay. If I want to attack a player, I would go here and I would click attack. And I'd be able to choose a strategy and the units that I want to send and attack. I don't want to do that right now because I'm in protection. It'll break my protection. but that's how that's done. And offensive magic operates the same way. You would find a target and you would click magic, and then you'd be given the choice of utility, where you have True Sight that allows you to kind of scout what they have. And you can do detrimental spells like Rain of Fire, Earthquake, Arcane Rot, and they all do different things based on how many wizards you use. One wizard is not a lot, so an Earthquake is not going to be too effective. I don't believe that these break protection, though, so let's go ahead and do it. I did nothing. One wizard was not enough to do anything to them, so no buildings were destroyed. But as you can see, I'm still protected from attacks, so that's okay. All right, I'm going to stop this video here because it's already kind of long. Protection is not the most exciting part of this game. It is a war game, but you do want to be decently prepared before the hitting starts in earnest. So you do want to build up your kingdom, and just as a rough figure, I think someone that successfully goes through protection should be between 100 to 200 land and several castles by the time they come out, and then they'll be in a better state to defend themselves. I'll get into more videos explaining the attacking system, how combat works, and all of those details, so stay tuned for those. See you in the next video.
Thank you so much for watching this video and supporting the channel. If you liked what you saw, please consider hitting the like button and checking out other videos on the Miser's Guide to Ebony. I'll see you in the next video.